Hi everyone, how are you doing? I hope you're all doing well wherever you are in the world watching me from. My name is Ekuka, and once again I'm back again to talk about a very interesting topic today. Okay, so I know something that excites a lot of people is financial independence, financial freedom. We all, in fact, it's a very prevalent topic in today's world, but many people have struggled with the idea of how possible can it be. In fact, some people don't believe that it's ever going to happen for them. Well, today in this video, I'm going to be talking about some strategies I adopted that helped me save about $50,000 in the space of 7 months. Well, for some people, they believe it's almost impossible. I'm sure right now you're probably saying, oh, how is that even possible? Today, I'm going to tell you what I did, the strategies I adopted, the techniques I adopted that helped me to get to this point, this amount of savings in such a short time. But before I dive into all of that, first things first, I want to talk about two schools of thoughts that are really important for everyone to know. Number one, if you want to build wealth, you want to attain financial independence, one very key thing you need to work on is either increasing your income sources. So when we talk about income sources, we're talking about your employment income, I would say earned income. We talk about the side hustles. If you have some side job that you're doing, you want to increase your income sources. That's very crucial. The other thing you also need to do is to reduce your expenses. So how do you reduce your expenses? Look out for things that you want to eliminate from your expense heads, picking up a budget and critically analyzing it and determining if there are certain things that need to go out of your budget or unnecessary expenditures. I call it discretionary spending. So once you're able to do this, I assure you you're on the right path to financial independence. Now let's dive right deep into it. Okay, for the first step I'm going to be talking about is what I call the budgeting. So budgeting is very crucial, and it's as simple as just picking up an Excel sheet, determining your expenditures, determining your income, and determining those things that are not necessary expenditures that you need to eliminate. I would say scrap out completely from your expense head. So those expenses are what we call discretionary expenditures. They are really not that important. They're good to have, but they are not things that you should necessarily have. Okay, so that was the first thing I did. I created an Excel spreadsheet for my budget, clearly identifying all my income sources, identifying my expenditures, and then analyzing them clearly. Okay, so if you want a copy of my budget template, please feel free to drop your comments below and I'm going to send it to you very easily. Now back to what we were saying. So I was able to analyze all my expenditures, my income sources, and that helped me determine those things that were good to have, those things that were unavoidable. So it was more like categorizing my expenditure into different cost heads. So that's the first thing you need to adopt, and that's exactly what I did. Now, if you remember the two schools of thoughts I talked about, increasing your income sources and reducing your expenditures, I also adopted the same approach, and I'm going to tell you exactly how I did that. First things first, I tried to review all my expenditure like I said earlier. So what I'm going to be doing right here is to itemize my expenditure, tell you exactly what I did, the kind of things I eliminated that I felt were not necessary, and how it helped me overall. Of course, I'm going to also be telling you the savings I made from just cutting down those expenditures. Okay, the first thing I'll be talking about right now will be my vehicle transportation or transit expenditure. So the first thing I did was, of course, focused on paying cash, outright cash, in the purchase of my car. So I didn't jump at a brand new car like some people probably just go for. I'm not saying brand new cars are bad, don't get me wrong, but all I'm trying to say is that the first thing you want to do is, if you're trying to cut down on your cost, you want to go for something less, I would say much more affordable, and that was the first thing I did. If you don't feel comfortable probably buying from people, say on Facebook Marketplace or all those alternative platforms, you might also consider going to rental companies. They tend to kind of manage your cars properly, and it's always in good shape. So that's another very good place to try out. Okay, what was another strategy I adopted? I moved closer to work. So the closer you are to work, the less gas you're able to consume going to work. Still under the same subject matter, the other thing I did was purchasing of gas only at the times when it was most efficient for me. So I probably not just go at any time. I've actually realized, based on my trend analysis, that gas tends to be way cheaper at night times than during the daytime. For some reasons I can't explain. I'm not an expert, right? I'm not an expert. But then I actually targeted those kind of times to be able to buy gas at a cheaper rate, and that was exactly what I did, and it was able to save me a whole lot of cost. Okay, also what I tried to do was reduce my trips. I wasn't going out as often as I used to go out before. I reduced my activities outside as much as I could, only for very important activities I was doing. So that reduced my commute time. The other very important thing that you also want to try out under vehicle and transit expenditure is getting cards that have point system. For instance, I have the RBC card that gives me points as a result of purchasing gas from Petro-Canada stations. So that reduced my cost head and even gave me an opportunity to buy free gas at some point. Okay, so those are the things I did under my transit, my transportation cost, and it reduced my cost. Overall, I made a savings of about 1,400 over the space of 7 months. So amazing way to reduce your cost head. Okay, the second area I tried to reduce my cost head was on my groceries. So typically I was spending quite a fortune on groceries, buying probably things I really did not need. So one first strategy I adopted was, bulk purchase. So I would go to Costco, buy things in large quantity. So this helped me to reduce my unit cost for each of the items I purchased. The other thing I tried to do was, get points card. So many stores these days offer points card that helps to reduce your cost overall. So that's something you could try out. Another valuable thing I also use was discounts, right? So we have apps that provide you comparison between stores or across stores. Also tells you when stores are offering discounted products. I'll give you an example of a tool I use, a software I call Flip, F-L-I-P-P. So Flip, what it does is it shows me different stores and the discounts they offer. So based on that, I was able to check if I could save some costs from those stores. I probably target times when those stores were offering discounts, and then I go to the stores to buy those things I need. Overall on groceries, I was able to save over $2,000 to about $3,500 over the space of 7 months. Okay, so another cost head I'll be talking about in my budget is what I call the TII. So the TII is the telephone, insurance, and my internet. Okay, so my insurance here, I'm talking about my motor vehicle insurance. My telephone will be my mobile expenses. My internet will be my home internet. Okay, so how was I able to reduce costs in these areas? Specifically for my telephone and my internet, I'll call my provider and ask them, hey, I've been with you guys for the past 6 months or for the past 1 to 2 years, and I think I'm overdue for some discounts or for some promo rates. And the funny thing is, if you don't call them, they probably never call you. Sometimes they do in very rare cases, but most times they don't call you. So you actually have to try to reach out to them of your own volition and try to find out if there are offers, if there are discounts, or whatever the case may be. In my own case, I was really lucky. I called them and they were able to offer me larger gigabytes for cheaper rates. So that's something you could also try. It will save you a lot of costs down the line. Now, with regards to my insurance, how was I able to save my costs? Like I said, I called them, also trying to renegotiate. My insurance providers, unfortunately, were not very flexible in terms of the rates, but they offered me other benefits of what I could do. One of those areas was just downloading their app. So there's an app they use to track the distance covered, your driving habits. So just by downloading that app, I was able to save upon renewal of my insurance by the next year. Okay, and of course, you all know keeping safe driving records also helps to reduce your cost. Overall, for this category, I was able to save about $1,750, which is typically an estimate based on my calculation as at that time. You could probably save way more just by adopting this approach. Try it out and see. Alright, another area I was able to cut down my costs significantly and made good savings was my subscriptions. And I know you'd agree with me that we have a lot of entertainment subscriptions. So personally, I wouldn't recommend you having so many TV subscriptions. Some people have Netflix, you have Disney, you have HBO, and so on and so forth. You really don't need all those things. So you just want to focus on those things that you truly need, and then you'll be saving a lot of cost down the line. And the funny thing is that they may seem very small, maybe $20-something or $30 or $50 per month. It's just nothing to you, right? But you know what? It all adds up. So I'll say for this category, I was able to save about $300 or more during the space of this whole 7 months. Yes, another area of savings that I know was very important to me is what I call the traveling expenditure. Well, I know for some people just like me, I love the idea of traveling. I love the idea of visiting places, experiencing other traditions, other cultures, other meals, and so on and so forth. Well, traveling is a good thing. However, if not done well, it could be a very, very big area of funds leakage for you. Now, How did I save my cost in this area? Number one, I had to ensure I had a rewards card. So what rewards card helps you to do is it helps you amass credit card points, or say reward points, that helps you save on air trips or flight tickets. It kind of gives you points which you can push towards a flight ticket you want to purchase. That's one very good way to save costs. Another thing I also tried was, going for websites that have discount trip deals. Sometimes certain websites provide discount trips as a full package. So you might want to really look out for these kind of discount trips. I'll give an example, Next Departure. So if you register for Next Departure, what it does for you is sends you at periodic intervals certain locations you can travel to that will be at a discounted flight ticket rates and so on. So that's something you could consider. Third thing I would like to talk about is called the ticket price tracker. So today we have the Google Flights. We also have Skyscanner. So what those websites basically do for you is you're able to plug in your locations or your desired locations you want to travel to, and then it tells you when the prices drop. It compares the prices across different flights, and then you're able to save some good, reasonable costs. Alright, now I'm going to get to the very unpopular opinion. Another thing I also tried to adopt was, reducing the number of trips I was doing in a year, or I was willing to do in a year. Unnecessary trips were typically scrapped from my to travel list. That's something you should also think about if you really want to save towards a certain objective. Then, purchasing your tickets very early also saves you a lot of cost, because early tickets can save you so much cost. You'll be able to reduce your expenditure that way. Say a target savings account where you contribute a certain amount every month, and by the way, that helps you reduce your cost down the line. Overall, for this category, I think I was able to save about 1,200 plus or minus. So for you, it might be different, it might be better, might save much more. Well, for me, that was just the range at which I think I saved. Okay, so another very uninteresting area which many people will probably shy away from is shopping. Well, I know for some people, you're probably upset with me, like, what do you mean? Why shouldn't I shop? Why shouldn't I buy? I'm not saying you shouldn't shop. I'm not saying you shouldn't go and buy what you want to buy. Please do. However, you need to cut down on impulse spending. That's one of those areas. So just walking down the aisle in a mall and looking at the things they have, and you think, oh, this might actually look good on me, or this might actually be something I would need in my house. You need to actually cut down on impulse spending. So one very good thing I did was, for every time I went or walked into a store, I always had a list of things I wanted to buy. That way, I'm going in specifically to buy the things I need and getting them off my list. One other approach you can adopt under this area is buying generic branded items. So there are generic branded items you could buy. You don't have to buy the very popular brands, which typically are, as much as I say they are good products, the brand itself is what sells above just the item itself. So you'll be surprised at how much these items are produced out there versus the brand that it sells. Some other approach I use under the same category is using cashback websites. For instance, I use Rakuten.com. What it does is it looks out for cashback opportunities for me. Another thing I also use is coupon generating sites like Honey, Honey. What that does for me is it identifies coupons I can get to reduce the cost of items I want to purchase. So this is something you should consider. Okay, another very important thing under the same category is looking out for loyalty programs. So when you purchase on certain things from, say, Sephora, they have loyalty programs such that you're able to get some discounts on your birthday, or you're able to get some free products on your birthday. Look out for loyalty programs out there. It's going to always help, and it may come in very small quantities, but it goes a long way. Also, very unpopular opinion, I was able to sell some things I really did not need. I went on Facebook Marketplace, Kijiji, and so many other sites, and I sold off things I felt probably had stayed in my wardrobe for the longest time. I've never worn them or were not necessary. I just sold them off. So that's something you could do to save yourself some cost. Okay, now to the crux of the matter, feeding. Oh, well, we have to eat. I know. But then you cannot keep dining out, going out for all your meals. That's one very, very big area that people expend a whole lot. So one thing I actually did was cook my meals myself where necessary and purchase my meals less often. As much as I had ingredients, of course. I had to buy my things. I cooked as much as I could. For areas where I could not cook, I had to get someone that was able to cook for me, and that helped me save a whole lot of costs. So that's something you should also consider. Overall, plus or minus, I'll say I saved about $1,800 to about $2,000 on just feeding alone. That's massive savings. Another area you can also consider is utility bills. So if you want to reduce your utility bills, what's the best way? Turn off the lights. Like, you're leaving the house, turn it off. You don't need anything. Turn off your appliances that are not necessary. That's one very good way I save cost. And I use energy saving bulbs. That goes a long way, helps a lot. All right, to the very interesting part of the whole topic. I'll be talking about our income sources, how I was able to generate more income sources, and so on. Now, sit tight. There are different kinds of income sources that you can have, or an average individual would typically have. So we have the earned income, we have, I'll call it the side hustles, we have the investment income, or what we call the passive income. I'm going to talk about how I was able to utilize each of this income for the purpose of, increasing my savings ability or my saving capacity. Number one, my earned income. I had a 9-to-5 job. So in order for me to increase my income from my 9-to-5 job, I had to change jobs to a new one that was offering me something much more, including bonus, where my previous employer wasn't offering that. That's something you should also consider. Also, another very big mistake I've seen is so many people not taking advantage of employer contributions. So there are certain contributions in your organization or in some organizations where the employers are willing to match your own contribution. So when you see that kind of opportunity, take advantage of it. I'll give you an example. I had an RPP contribution, which is something regarding the retirement pension plan, and my employer was willing to match exactly how much I contributed. That gave me a good push to contribute much more than I would typically do had my employer not been matching it. So overall, from earned income, I would say I was able to save over $7,000 each month. So that was very, very good for me. That was a very major source of income for me. Now I'm going to talk about the passive income, the side hustles I did that helped me to save some very good bucks over this period. Number one, I did Airbnb. I was able to give up my home for a few weeks, and that helped to increase my income sources. Also, another side also I adopted was the food delivery business. So for the food delivery business, like the DoorDash, the Skip, the Uber, they're also very good ways to make some really good income. I know I've made something pretty reasonable from those sources, and you typically do this like after working hours, and you're able to make some reasonable amount of income. Also, still on the side hustles and things I did to make or increase my income capacity. What I also did was online sales. I had an Amazon account. I created an Amazon account, and I was able to sell things in the US all the way. I was able to produce in other parts of the world, and I was able to sell in the US. That's a very good way to make some good money. So if you understand how it works, and I'm going to be talking about how to do some of these things in my other videos, and I'm sure it's going to help one or two people. I'm going to show you how to embark on these activities and how to make some good income for yourself. Okay. The other thing I also did was online surveys. So for online surveys like Swagbox, there are many out there. You just need to know what works for you. You need to analyze them and determine if it's going to take much of your time and it's something that interests you to do. For me, I found Swagbox interesting. I was able to do it at my spare time. So 1 to 2 hours of your spare time, you're able to achieve so much within that period. And that gives you some little, maybe not the best of income, but at least the little amount you get kind of adds up over time. So you need to try this out. I think it's a very good approach you should adopt. Last but not the least is the passive income. There are many ways you can make passive income today. I'm going to be talking about so many of them in this channel and in subsequent topics I'll be doing. If you have any of interest to you that you want me to talk about, please feel free to drop the comments below, and I'm going to talk about as many as possible. Some of the passive income ideas which I was able to explore include the investment income. I was able to invest in the ETFs, invest in stocks, and so many dividend paying stocks out there. I was able to do that, and that generated some reasonable income for me. For instance, we have the VTI. VTI is a dividend paying ETF that I invested in. I was able to generate some reasonable source of income from this over time. Okay. The other thing is savings in high interest savings account. I have an EQ account, and I was considering opening a Tangerine account, Simply Financial. One thing I'm also going to be doing in some of my subsequent videos is providing some analysis and comparing this high interest savings account for those that are interested in it and are considering how to save up. Now, high interest savings account may not be the best way to generate income for yourself. However, if you're saving towards an objective, say you want to travel on a vacation, or you want to buy a house, or you want to make some very critical decisions in a short time, you may not want to invest in highly volatile areas like, the stock markets, ETFs, or exchange traded funds. So you need something that is more stable and highly secured, and it's not exposed to volatility. One of those areas is the high interest savings account, which I've talked about. So you might want to consider using the high interest savings account. It's helped me a lot. Some of these high interest savings account pay you as much as 2.5% to 5% interest rate, which is pretty high for any kind of bank out there or financial institution. So you might want to try this out. So in summary, I would say our situations may be different. You might have things that you're able to do and things you're not able to do. You may not earn the amount I'm earning. You might earn even much more. However, what is very, very important is trying out these approaches, whatever income you make, adopting most of these techniques, and I assure you that you'll be on your pathway to financial freedom. But most importantly, you need to start from somewhere, have a budget, and start taking these activities very seriously. And I assure you that down the line, you thank your stars that you did what you had to do. Okay, thanks everyone. If you enjoyed the tips and the techniques and the tricks I gave you in this video, please feel free to follow me down there. Click on the like and subscribe button, and I'll be providing more content on this. In my next couple of videos, I'll be talking about how to invest the funds. So if you have spare cash and you're looking for how to invest, you're not sure how to do that, I'm going to be giving you tips on how to go about it. I'm going to explain the exchange traded funds and what you need to do. I would also be talking about side hustles you can adopt to make some really good money. Some things I'm also considering, and most importantly, we'll be working through them together. I'll be showing you practical steps on how to embark on it, what you need to do, your style, your approach, and I'll also probably be doing the same thing alongside yourself. Okay, thanks for taking the time to listen to me and my tips on personal finance. I have way more tips for you and things that are going to help you in your day-to-day life. Looking forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye.